Welcome, folks. Thank you for joining us for Taproot Theater's Raised Voices Conversations. My name is Sonia Lowe. I'm the resident dramaturg at Taproot Theater Company. Now, for those of you who are staying behind after the Thursday night performance of We Will Not Be Silent, I want you to think back to a couple minutes ago to the final scene of the play, where the Nazi interrogator Kurt Grunwald says, "I'm only one person, Sophie." And Sophie replies, "So am I." And that scene from the script was really the inspiration for the Raised Voices conversations that Taproot Theater is hosting. Because we thought, all of us have these things in our lives that seem too big, too systematic, so vast, that how could one person, how could one voice make a difference? We also know that the choice to speak, the choice to act, is a choice that people make in big and small ways every single day. Sophie Scholl's story is one of many stories, and we want to celebrate the stories of the people who are raising their voices. So, for that reason, Taproot is delighted to partner with the Church Council of Greater Seattle and the Sherry and Les Biller Family Foundation to present Raised Voices, a series celebrating the stories of Seattle activists speaking into specific areas of injustice in our city. Raised Voices is a chance to put real faces onto issues that are often impersonalized in the news. So for tonight's conversation, we are delighted to welcome two speakers who are experienced advocates for immigrant justice here in Seattle. Michael Ramos is the Executive Director of the Church Council of Greater Seattle, and Marina Ortiz was a human rights defender, a lawyer, and a criminologist in El Salvador, and now works as a consultant in immigrant and refugee justice here in Seattle. So at this point, I'm going to turn things over to Michael Ramos and say welcome to you both.
Cool. So Michael Ramos with the Church Council of Greater Seattle, and I'm going to give my friend and colleague Marina a chance to introduce herself in just a minute. We decided to do this conversation on immigration by way of an interview, so I'm going to interview Marina, and just so you know, I'll be interpreting for Marina as well as commenting from time to time. It's an issue that Marina is an expert in, and I'm passionate about, and you'll see a connection with the work that we are all doing in this community and throughout our nation, and the call to act according to our own conscience for such a time as this. Entonces, Marina, si quiere presentarse y decir un poco cómo qué lo tocó de la presentación del acto de teatro.
Oh, okay. Sorry for speak Spanish because my English is in process now. Okay. El teatro de Sophie, la historia de Sophie,
The theater act of Sophie.
Es una historia muy similar que actualmente estamos viviendo muchos activistas en nuestros países de América Latina.
It's a story that currently we are living, many of us, in our countries in Latin America.
Y pareciera como que esas prácticas fueron del pasado, pero en realidad son prácticas que estamos viviendo muchos activistas en el presente.
It may seem that these were actions and events that occurred only in the past, but actually they are occurring now in a new way in our own countries.
Es muy impactante cómo Sophie trata de hablar sobre una vida normal que ella lleva, pero que no es creíble para ellos, porque piensan que el activismo o las acciones o expresar su propio punto de vista son realmente acciones políticas partidarias, pero en realidad son expresiones y es el derecho que tenemos todos los activistas.
It's very touching that Sophie wanted to live a normal life, but for the situation she really couldn't, and they called her actions political or partisan, but she felt she needed to stand up and lived her life in that way to her conscience. Bueno, usted, Marina, tiene mucha experiencia en proseguir la lucha por la justicia y la verdad. Como inmigrante, ¿cómo le parece, cómo veas el tratamiento justo del inmigrante y el llamado moral de acompañarlos? My question is, Marina, you have a long history and experience searching and struggling for truth and for justice. As an immigrant yourself, how do you see the struggle for justice and the just treatment of immigrants playing out and our call to accompany immigrant peoples?
Bueno, actualmente soy vecina de ustedes
Currently, I'm a neighbor of all of you.
y vine hace 2 años
I came 2 years ago.
y vine con mi familia
I came with my family,
y también por mi trabajo en derechos humanos.
and because of my work in human rights,
Fui perseguida por mi gobierno,
I was persecuted by my own government.
pero gracias a Dios, pues la vida nos dio otra oportunidad
But thanks be to God, I was given another opportunity.
y estoy muy agradecida con la comunidad, con la iglesia, por toda su solidaridad, acompañamiento a familias de refugiados o migrantes que estamos llegando a esta ciudad de Seattle.
I am thankful to the family, the family of my church as well, and the community at large for accompanying us and offering us solidarity for my family and for other immigrants in this area.
Pues mi consejo sería como difundir la voz a otros espacios, a otras iglesias, acompañar de manera solidaria a otras familias. Actualmente estamos teniendo mucha migración, mucho movimiento migratorio, especialmente de Centroamérica.
There's a lot of movement of immigrants coming from Central America right now. And so my suggestion is to find ways to share about what is going on and to raise your voices and to provide practical manner of accompanying people who are coming here and who are here.
Por ejemplo, nunca había estado en un espacio de teatro como este para hablar sobre el tema de migración. Ese es un ejemplo de cómo podemos abrir las puertas para conocer las historias de los migrantes.
For example, just opening your doors for this, accompanying this theater production to be able to have a conversation about the theme of immigration. This is a new thing, and opening the doors in this way is something that we can do more of.
Actualmente vemos también nuevos fenómenos migratorios como las caravanas que están llegando de Centroamérica.
And there are new phenomena that are taking place, such as the caravans coming from Central America.
Las caravanas son una expresión de lo mal que han gobernado los políticos en nuestros países.
And they're an expression of the bad things that have happened conducted by the governments in the countries of origin from where people are fleeing.
Y como principalmente la gente sale por la violencia, que es el factor principal que les motiva a migrar.
The principal reason why people are leaving is the violence that they're experiencing and the need to leave and to come to another place. So my next question will be, how can we motivate people of faith and the public to take risks for justice? Entonces mi pregunta es cómo se puede sugerir, qué sugerencias tiene usted para promover la acción a favor de la justicia y que la gente tome riesgos por la justicia.
Bueno, principalmente quizás abrir nuestros corazones, dar la bienvenida a los migrantes.
First, we need to open our hearts and give a welcome to immigrant peoples.
Muchas veces no conocemos los motivos por qué la gente está llegando a este país.
Often we don't know the motivations why people have to come from the countries of origin to here.
Una acción concreta podría ser, actualmente se está viendo se está manifestando o se está visibilizando la migración a través de las caravanas.
Concretely today, the visibility of immigration is becoming more widespread because of the phenomenon of the caravans.
Antes nunca habíamos escuchado ese término o nunca habíamos visto tanta gente emigrar en un solo periodo.
Perhaps we haven't seen people come in such groupings like this before.
A medida que la migración no es tratada de manera digna, la gente que huye de los países crea otros fenómenos, otras condiciones, porque no se trata desde la raíz la situación de por qué la gente migra.
So people who have immigrated have not been treated with dignity and respect, and they're creating a new reality in coming here and seeking a new future for themselves, and they have organized themselves as such to call for that respect and just treatment.
Y un llamado en concreto podría ser que juntos nos organicemos y pidamos a nuestros políticos garantizar la seguridad de la llegada de esas personas, porque al llegar por México pasan por situaciones muy crueles, más crueles de lo que han vivido, y el llamado sería de cómo los políticos, entre políticos, puedan hacer llamados a los gobernantes, especialmente en México, para que se garantice la seguridad del paso de estas personas.
We can call our elected officials and ask that they guarantee the security of people who are passing through in these caravans, because they're experiencing sometimes worse cruelty than they have experienced before on the trip, on the way here. And so we can speak to our elected officials and call on governments such as Mexico for fair treatment, just treatment of people as they are coming northward.
Nunca antes los migrantes han tenido seguridad en el trayecto de su camino, y creo que es tiempo de que pongamos atención a esa situación, esos nuevos fenómenos que surgen, de cómo podemos también acompañar a estas familias, que el 70% de estas caravanas están solicitando asilo.
We need to shine a light on the phenomenon of the caravans and the people that are there. 100% of the people that are fleeing and coming through the caravans are seeking political asylum to be able to come here because of the violence that they are fleeing.
Y otra acción podría ser que hay muchas personas detenidas por cruzar la frontera, y sería interesante cómo podemos apoyar, dando soporte jurídico o acompañando a estas familias. Algo que ayudó mucho cuando se visibilizó el tema de las madres que estaban siendo separadas de sus hijos aquí en Tacoma, en SeaTac. Algo que las madres nos comentaron al salir de ahí, porque las iglesias acompañaron, era que cada vez que las personas que ustedes protestaban afuera, obviamente el trato a los migrantes era diferente, los maltrataban más dentro de los centros de detención. Sin embargo, eso les daba esperanza a las mamás, y no les importaba nada más que ese apoyo que estaban recibiendo afuera.
So one other thing we can do is to support and accompany people who are being detained in the immigration system, such as in Tacoma, where 1,500 people are held every night, or at the SeaTac Detention Center, as happened last summer. Marina also commented on the fact that last summer, when the tragic and traumatic separation of children from their parents was occurring, many people were held at SeaTac, and one of the things that happened is there were many protests by people of faith and community members, and that the women coming out of SeaTac remarked that they could hear the protests outside, and that gave them a spirit of hope despite the mistreatment that they were experiencing within the detention centers. And so that was a sign of hope for them, and helped them to have the courage to go on. And Marina mentioned Church Council of Greater Seattle. We have a network of 150 congregations called For Such a Time as This. And among our congregations, we accompanied 35 of the women and a few men as well who came out of SeaTac, and with 12 congregations assistance, including some represented here, housing was provided and transportation to connect back with their children. It was a very moving situation where people came with literally the clothes on their back, and to see people going to being accompanied to Goodwill to get a clean pair of clothes and to be able to recover the dignity that they have was an amazing experience. And I think it's one that the courage of the people, first of all, for migrating and persisting and having the tenacity to reconnect with their children, despite for some period of time not knowing where they were, and then reuniting with them and the children themselves, sometimes not knowing where their parents were, and going through this process of readjustment again after a whole series of traumatic experiences was something that is really not becoming of our nation. And unfortunately, that family separation has been going on for years and is still going on. And so there is plenty of room for us to act, as Marina has said. ¿Hay algo más que quiere tomar unas preguntas del público? Okay. Okay, great. So we have, I think, just a few minutes for some questions. If anyone would like to ask, and I'll translate the question, and if we don't hear it, I'll try to repeat it so everyone hears it. So don't be shy. Go ahead. So repeat the question, that there are factors for which people migrate and have had to flee their homes. Some of that lies in the roots of the situation in the home countries. Is there any space or place for people in the United States to offer some light or response to help impact the situation of people migrating, but also in the countries of origin? Entonces la pregunta es que a raíz de la situación en los países de origen, es algo que motiva a la gente para venir acá a la misma vez que en Estados Unidos, qué papel podemos tomar nosotros en este país para influenciar las condiciones en los países de origen para ayudar.
Es que los problemas de nuestros países de Centroamérica tienen problemas históricos de impunidad totalmente y
so there are historical problems within our country, including impunity for crimes that are committed.
También estudios recientemente en diversas universidades reflejan o dan una muestra de cómo afectó a nuestros países la migración, las deportaciones en los años 90, especialmente porque las pandillas, que son la principal, el principal problema de nuestros países, la violencia. Esta situación tiene muchos antecedentes históricos que tiene que ver con las deportaciones de personas que tenían antecedentes criminales a nuestros países, pero que también eran personas que venían a Estados Unidos con un trauma muy severo por la guerra. Entonces, no tratar esos traumas generó que realmente podamos tener otros tipos de violencia en nuestros países.
So if you ask an expert about this kind of question, you're going to get an expert's answer. There have been a number of university studies around the phenomenon that countries of origin in Central America are facing. And there's a generalized situation of violence that's causing people to flee. There's also the phenomenon that gang members that were based in the United States were deported back to some of our countries back in the 1990s. And you couple that with the trauma that people have experienced in the countries of origin from the wars, the civil wars in El Salvador and Guatemala, particularly in the 1980s. You have a double trauma that is going on, that people experiencing who are migrating here, that are affected and need support as they come, and the redoubled situation of violence, and as Marina mentioned, impunity in the countries of origin that are there that needs healing as well. So that those phenomena together make for a very difficult situation.
Hay un estudio de la Universidad de Virginia que nos dice que cuando los refugiados llegaron de Centroamérica, Guatemala, El Salvador, se ubicaron específicamente en Washington, D.C., en New York y Maryland, pero ya esos países, estos estados vivían problemas de violencia bien severos, bien serios. Entonces, niños traumatizados de la guerra que llegaron a Washington, D.C., a Maryland, a New York, se encontraron con otra situación a la que se sumaron. Y por esa situación es que el estudio refleja de que una vez ellos encuentran una situación de violencia, también se suman a la violencia, pero obviamente por no ser americanos fueron deportados y su comportamiento o los crímenes o todo lo que ellos realmente acumulaban fue implementado ya en nuestros países, y así es como surgen ya controles territoriales en nuestros países, droga, tráfico de personas, trata.
So to try to give a refined translation of a complex question, there's an additional study around people who are migrating. There's been a concentration, for example, of Salvadorans and Guatemalans in places like Washington, D.C. and New York and Maryland. Mm-hmm. And people who come here, they come children of the war. And so they come here traumatized, and they're faced with the situation of adaptation within this society, but then they have to confront the immigration system, and they're trying to make their way forward. But then there's also situations within the communities of facing violence within those big urban areas as well. Then they go back, are sent back traumatized, and they carry forward that trauma within their own countries of origin there, and the things that they've experienced in the United States, they're carrying back to those countries there, and it seems to be, she didn't use these words, but a vicious cycle is what comes to mind.
Actualmente el presidente ha mencionado que va a quitar la ayuda a nuestros países. La verdad, la ayuda no ha sido una ayuda para que realmente la gente pueda tener escuelas dignas o que se pueda invertir en los niños, en las niñas, en prevención de violencia. La ayuda ha sido más física, arreglar las carreteras, tengamos una buena exportación. Entonces, si hablamos de cómo nuestro país, Estados Unidos, puede ayudar a otros países, claro que puede ayudar, y puede ayudar garantizando que realmente podamos trabajar por un futuro para las niñas y los niños de Centroamérica con el enfoque de prevención de violencia.
So if we really want to talk about prevention of violence, we have to look much further than the fact that our president planning in the process of cutting off aid to our countries, and that the aid was not really going to helping children go to school, helping the youth in terms of jobs, but rather going to things like areas of trade or building highways and things like that. And so that is not really helping people there. And there's other ways. If we want to invest money in our communities, we need to invest in the future, which is the children and the young people there, and give them some options. And that would really be of assistance, and not what's currently being provided.
Y básicamente los factores prioritarios por los que la población de Centroamérica está migrando a Estados Unidos y Europa tiene que ver primero con la violencia, con el segundo factor es la corrupción de nuestros países, y el tercer factor es la falta de justicia en los casos de agresiones sexuales.
violence, corruption, and impunity, lack of follow-through on cases of sexual and other kinds of violence that are occurring among people. These are the factors that are driving people to come to the United States, and those are the roots of the issue that need to be addressed.
So maybe there's more of a role for NGOs helping instead of our government.
So the comment was maybe there's more of a role for non-governmental organizations to play a role. Organizaciones no gubernamentales para jugar un papel más amplio en todo eso.
Ajá, lo que pasa es que actualmente, desde mi experiencia en mi país, en El Salvador, las organizaciones no gubernamentales tratan de ayudar, pero el contexto de violencia es muy peligroso.
The NGOs do try to help, but the context in which they operate is very, very dangerous.
Entonces, algún activista, por ejemplo, yo acompañé un caso de un niño que había sido torturado por la policía. Entonces, la policía quería plantear que yo ayudaba a las pandillas. Entonces, cuando uno trata de trabajar por los derechos humanos, la policía, el Estado, las pandillas, todos se juntan y empiezan a desprestigiar el trabajo de los activistas. Entonces es bien peligroso y muy difícil demostrar tu inocencia en nuestros países.
So the police and the government have a way of putting to one side human rights workers like Marina and lawyers. She was accompanying a child in the court system, and they tried to make her out to be a gang member, and that there was actually it was a sign of the collaboration between the gangs and the police that are there, which is very typical that is there, and that's how a corrupt system functions. And so people who are like Marina, having worked for human rights organizations, are in a very difficult situation, both dangerous for themselves, but also in terms of overcoming a system that tries to cast aside, disparage, and even persecute people who are working for human rights and respect on behalf of people who have suffered there. Go ahead.
What gives you strength and hope?
So what gives you strength and hope is the question. ¿Qué le da fortaleza y esperanza?
Bueno, especialmente cuando las personas como ustedes están interesados en saber sobre la migración, en cómo ser solidario con otro.
When people like yourself take interest in the issue of immigration and ask how can we be in solidarity with people who are migrating.
Ajá, y eso da mucha esperanza, especialmente a las familias migrantes que están pasando por situaciones bien difíciles.
It gives me hope and also for the families that are migrating, because what they're going through is very difficult.
Conozco mucha gente que ha apoyado específicamente familias, personas, niñas, niños, y eso realmente, como les decía, cuando las mujeres fueron llevadas a SITAC y fueron separadas de sus hijos, las mujeres nos comentaban de cómo realmente les había dado tanta fuerza ver la presencia de las personas americanas afuera protestando por la separación de sus hijos. Esas acciones, por ejemplo, le daban fuerza a estas madres, pero también les daban mucha esperanza.
So, I know many people who have accompanied relatives, families, members, mothers, fathers, and children, and it's a very difficult process that those people are experiencing. At the same time, we had the experience at SeaTac, the Federal Detention Center there last summer, where the women who had been detained told Marina that they gained so much strength by the people present outside, the North Americans who were outside, protesting and saying that this was not right. And they had great hope as a result of that, and that it gave them strength to persist.
Y también actualmente estamos creando una red de apoyo para Centroamérica y México. Algunos somos parte de los que estamos acá. Entonces son espacios que tenemos para hablar de ese tema, para desahogarnos, para sentir que estamos siendo apoyados también.
And we are creating, and Marina is the leader of a group that's forming a network of support that involves some of us who are here today to be able to express ourselves, to think together, to eat together, and to be able to think of some options that we can offer to provide a greater level of solidarity for Central American brothers and sisters and siblings and others within the community. And so we can share some more information about that as we go forward. So I just want to say on behalf of the Church Council of Greater Seattle, a sponsor of these dialogues, I'm very grateful for the collaboration with the Taproot Theater, that this is really a time to, if you want peace, work for justice. And the connection between the theme of the performance and the theme of our lives as we're called to play it out in our communities is one that Marina has helped make the connection for us. You have a way of doing it in your own lives. I invite you to that and look forward to collaborating with you in the future. Thank you, Marina. Muy bien.